2, we're live.
Let me shut down Netflix. Okay, we'll call the committee of the whole meeting to order at 1:02 p.m. on Monday, November 24th. Jody?
Please note, committee of the whole meetings are streamed live and recorded on YouTube. Attendees acknowledge that in accordance with section 20 sub 2 of the Access to Information and section 4 sub C of the Protection of Privacy Act, names, addresses, and other details provided when speaking at a council meeting will be publicly shared. Should you have any questions related to the collection or disclosure of personal information, please contact the Legislative and Advisory Services Division for the Town of High River by sending an email to atip@highriver.ca. That is ATIPP@highriver.ca.
Thanks, Jody. Adoption of the agenda. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Barton that the committee of the whole adopt the agenda for the committee of the whole meeting November 24th as presented.
You have my motion, Mayor?
Good. All in favor? Carried. I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Cooey to approve the previous meeting minutes. The committee of the whole adopt the minutes from the November 10th committee of the whole meeting as presented.
I'll give you that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Good. All in favor? Carried. Proposed crabapple tree removal. Ticket item.
It is hot ticket. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council, and I haven't had the opportunity of meeting two more council members. So my name is Nicole Dick, I'm the Manager of Public Works. It's nice to see you both. Today I bring before you a request from a resident for the removal of a town-owned fruit-bearing tree located within a boulevard. So it's just where that red dot is there. The town's approach in any tree conflict is to develop a plan to address the issue while considering all available options before the removal of a healthy tree. This site is particularly challenging due to its proximity to driveways on both sides, and pruning was completed, which significantly reduced the amount of fruit produced. Now, the pruning was not fully addressed by the residents concerned, and the resident has since submitted a formal request for its removal. Within the current tree protection bylaw, the director has the authority, so I'm presenting on behalf of Riley McCarricker, who is the director, has the authority to determine whether a tree is to be removed or who is responsible for the associated costs. Since this is not a unique situation and may provoke other requests for the removal of healthy trees, the town should consider the precedents today's decision may set, because there are numerous mature, I'm obviously nervous because it's too many people in the room, numerous mature fruit trees, or it could just be tongue-tied, that exist throughout High River, and fruit-bearing trees are listed as an approved boulevard tree species. The town will proceed, so this is on behalf of Riley, so the town will proceed with allowing the resident to remove the tree at their own cost. The town considers this reasonable because the tree's location is not ideal for our fruit-bearing species, and given its proximity to parked vehicles and the limited boulevard space between driveways. This removal would not be permitted if the tree were a non-fruit-bearing species and if the issues were only limited to minor nuisance concerns with the pedestrian area. So, thank you for your time. Do you have any questions about Riley's direction?
So Riley's direction is to be clear, he's okay with removing it?
Yes.
Okay.
At the cost of the person removing it, not the town.
Okay.
Not a question, just an observation. It is a really unique kind of placement for the tree. I suspect that that garage on the neighboring property was added after the fact, so there probably wasn't always a driveway there. And when you drive by the site and see the remnants of this year's crabapple crop, you can see the impact it would have on those people's vehicles in that parking spot.
That's true.
And they do have a incredibly large pine tree in their tree on the opposite side of the driveway that at least helps the treescape of that street, that area.
Is there expectation of them replacing that tree with a non-fruit bearing or just leaving it empty?
At this time, that hasn't been brought forward.
I thought there was something in the report that suggested that they didn't need to replace it.
know there was similar concerns. The neighbor was not opposed to the removal of the tree. I didn't read in here that it would be replaced.
No replacement.
No.
Riley says.
No. Oh, was he on there? Yeah. I didn't think I saw that on there.
So I have a question with our policy, because I didn't read this part of it in there, is if we take a tree out, and I might be just thinking this from the past, is there like, you remove one, you replace it? Is there,
That's typically what Darlene, would do. You bet.
that's typically what we do, or is there a policy thing on that?
That is one for one. That's something that we do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the policy. The tree removal policy. So last year or this year, any removals would be replaced next year.
Right.
So that could be one of the trees that is replaced, just in a different location.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Good to go. Riley's recommendation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, variance applications for information. Gennady? First one on 113 Montaigne Link.
Sounds good.
Sorry, Gennady, I did have this ready to go.
No worries.
This one.
Yep. Exactly. Okay. Thanks, Jody. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Today I'm here to present a variance for information in the Montrose area. Currently, Montrose Phase 4 is the most recent subdivision of parcels that we have, and this is a development permit for one of the parcels in that subject area. The variance is being brought here as it is not covered by the blanket variance policies that we do have that we implemented for areas in Montrose and the Hamptons, where a few of our common requests for variance are not being able to be accommodated by the developers. Those variances that we do have in the blanket variance policy are for vehicle access widths in the front, and also for the garage projection of garages that are attached to a home at the front when there is no rear lane as part of the subdivision. In this case, the request is actually for a variance that is not covered by those two standards that we have in our blanket variance policy, and it's for a front setback greater than what we have in our current land use bylaw, which is 2 to 6 meters. The applicant is proposing to vary it to 6.54 meters, and we do have a rationale which we have reviewed for it. Now, the rationale for not being able to bring the home forward to meet the 6-meter requirement is it is a pie-shaped lot. What it does is it does narrow a little more so than you would like to see towards the front. Therefore, the side setbacks that you need to meet would not be possible if they were to bring the home forward. They do have a porch that offsets visually that setback that they're not meeting. And when we reviewed other parcels that we have already approved development permits for example, around through this block, most of them are between 4.5 and 6 meters. So visually, there should not be a difference there in how you perceive it on the street. Therefore, we do feel that we can support this variance. We did need to bring it here just because it is not covered by our blanket variance policy, which means that it would need to go through a public appeal period prior to it being approved. Wanted to bring this here for information as part of our process, and would like to see if you have any questions or feedback.
Thanks, Gennady. Questions from council? Garage is in the back, correct?
The garage will be in the back, yes, because it does have access to a rear lane.
Good.
Can I ask a question about a different lot?
Sure.
The first lot on that block
Okay.
significantly seems to narrow.
Yeah.
And it's empty at this point. Would it not be a
Okay.
similar situation to that one, or has it not come? I'm just curious. Sorry,
it may be-
probably an unfair question for you, sorry.
Right, and I can't say right now whether we have or have not already received the development permit for it.
I was just curious.
It could be a different case where they're still able to meet it because you do have the front and the secondary front setback.
Oh, okay.
So because they may be meeting it here, it might be here actually, there would be, yeah, they're like, I would think it's still a bit wider. I think the representation on the map may not be quite as reflective of the
Fair enough.
actual lot widths, but
Thank you.
yeah,
Sorry, an unfair question.
no worries.
And Gennady, you made reference to it, but as far as the streetscape and the look, the consistency of the other houses around it, this doesn't drastically.
No, because yeah, we do have a range of setbacks there that
Okay.
for homes. Some are closer to 6 meters, some could be closer to 4.5 or even to 4 meters. Most of them have porches, so it should blend in well.
Blends in.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions? Good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gennady. Sarah, 1225 First Street Southeast.
Okay, great. So I would first really appreciate if you could scroll down to the attachments. That you might have to open up like a separate attachments section. Yeah, let's do key map first, and then I'll transition into the drawings. So first of all, okay, great. So first of all, I'll draw members of council's attention to the key map here. As you can see, it's at a property called 1225 First Street Southeast. It's on the same property as the Wendy's development and a few other commercial developments, just off of 12th Avenue and First Street. Most of the variances are related directly to the frontage that's facing First Street, so I just wanted to draw your attention so you could be oriented to that part. The development permit that I'm going to be presenting today is for new commercial development. It's for drive-through. Drive-throughs are discretionary uses as per our land use bylaw, and there are also 5 variances that I'm going to be discussing today. Discretionary uses, as I mentioned, require a higher level of scrutiny when evaluating both the use and the design. So the first variance, oh, perfect. I think that's a great place to start.
Okay.
Sorry?
Is that okay with the
Yeah.
size and everything right now?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
this is a great place for us to start. The first variance I'll be discussing today is the front yard setback. This property is in the Neighborhood Center District, NCD. According to our land use bylaw, the front setback should be somewhere between 0 and 3 meters from the front property line. So when we're talking about the front property line, we're really talking about this part here facing First Street. They are proposing about 8.5 meters from that property line. The reason they're asking to do this is because they want a drive-through, and they're proposing that the drive-through circulate around this area, so you have the building, the drive-through lane, and then the property.
Sarah, is that
Yes.
similar to the Wendy's?
Exactly. Yes, so that is one of the reasons that the developers wanted to develop it in that way, to essentially mirror what's already there on the Wendy's. And the Wendy's and the other commercial developments were developed quite a few years ago at this point. Under the Wendy's was certainly under the old land use bylaw. So one of the challenges that we face when we're doing the final phase of an existing development is how to fit that final phase, just mirroring the development that has already taken place. The developer has put effort, oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'll take 1 second.
I can just keep talking. So the developer has ensured that there is good pedestrian connectivity from First Street. That's one of the key reasons we want to make sure buildings are close to the street, and they have proposed attractive landscaping to enhance the public realm. Another thing that I can talk about that really doesn't need a visual is the building height. In the NCD, we require buildings be somewhere between 2 and 5 stories tall. This one is just going to be 1 story in height. One of the reasons that we require 2 to 5 stories in NCD is to attract a diversity of uses. However, in this case, it's going to be a drive-through. And we understand that there would be major challenges in attracting another tenant that would want to be on top of a drive-through business. So as long as drive-through developments are allowed in the town of High River, the Development Authority believes that it's reasonable in this circumstance to allow a 1-story building in the NCD. The third variance I'll be talking about is frontage build-out. Minimum required frontage build-out, and again, this is going to be off of First Street Southeast, is 70%. And the proposal achieves about just under 20%, 19.48. Again, this development was developed mostly before the new land use bylaw came into effect. If it was built today, we would make sure that all of the buildings are framing the street, and then we would have all the other uses such as the parking and like loading areas, that type of thing, internal to the site. There are other features on this property that, you know, are more visible on that location over there, like loading zones, another drive-through that we've already talked about, and parking. So those things limit the applicant's ability to comply with this matter. The fourth one is the transparency standards. And for this one, I would like to scroll down so we can get the elevation of that building.
Further?
Yeah, I think further. Whoa. No, not quite that far, sorry.
Here?
Yeah, it's that way. So this is the frontage, or this is the facade that's going to be facing First Street. So that one is not going to be where patrons would be going in. There are 2 doors. Those would be for employees only. One of them is how they would get into the kitchen. The other one is the mechanical room. There are reasons that the developer isn't able to provide real windows. Like I said, the things that are directly abutting those walls are the kitchen, they're the mechanical room. It just wouldn't make sense to have a lot of windows. However, the developer has created a design that has some fake or faux windows. And that's what you see here. There's also going to be a Starbucks sign here that's going to be taking up some space on that facade. The land use bylaw requires 50% transparency. The developer is proposing just under 15%. The Development Authority supports this approach to creating some faux windows, and we think that that does enhance the design and makes it seem more welcoming and friendly. However, the Development Authority would recommend additional faux transparency, perhaps above the doors, to further enhance the streetscape and getting us closer to that 50%. But that is a discussion that the Development Authority can have with the developer directly. And the fifth variance that I'd like to talk about today is the primary entrance location. And for this one, perhaps we could go back to the original site plan. I think that would be the best approach. Our land use bylaw requires the entrance to be facing the facade. The reason we do that is to make it as easy for pedestrians as possible when they're walking on the sidewalks, when they're walking on the happy trails, to easily enter the business, so they don't feel like they always need to be driving a car if it happens to be convenient for them. For this design, as we saw in that previous facade, The entrances on that side are going to be for employee use only. The entrance for customers is going to be off here. However, they have ensured that there is a good pedestrian access from here off of the sidewalks. So people are going to be able to walk here, and this is going to be a concrete walkway area. And then they're going to be able to come in behind there. So they have ensured that there is a safe connection. And again, as long as the town of High River is allowing drive-throughs, the Development Authority believes that there needs to be some flexibility to get people from the drive-through area to the front entrance, and we believe what they have done here is appropriate. The report before you also includes a few additional observations. Those are about signage. They're about additional pedestrian connectivity connections, and it's about the elevation, the south elevation treatment. About signage, signage is not ever part of a major development permit application. The town always does signage applications separately, but the Development Authority has noticed that some of their signs are slightly higher than the 4.5 meters from grade to top of sign. The reason that the town of High River requires signs to be no higher than 4.5 meters from grade to top is to make sure that the signs are always designed in a way that feels comfortable for people and is on a human scale. On a similar note, the developer is proposing a freestanding sign. That freestanding sign is going to be, or they propose it to be 30 feet. And the town's land use bylaw, we only allow a sign, a freestanding sign in this district to be no more than 4 meters tall. That's about 13 feet as opposed to 30 feet. Again, this height restriction is intended to make sure that everything feels on a very pedestrian human scale. The Development Authority has let the developer know that that will be a serious concern for the town of High River. However, we have not received the formal application yet, but we will make sure to put in our comments that we do have serious concerns and very clearly explain to them why we have those regulations. Finally, we have spoken with the applicant about the treatment of the southern elevation of the building. Yeah, if you could scroll down to the southern one. It's right, oh yeah, it's right there. So this one is not a variance. It's not facing a public thoroughfare. This one is going to be facing a future residential development. We did point out to the developer that it would be nice to consider maybe a mural or maybe some other design so it's not just this blank wall. However, they let us know that that would not be possible. So I did want to point that out, that we have had that conversation. However, it is not a land use bylaw requirement because it's not facing a street. So the Development Authority does not have any further concerns about that. And finally, we will be having some further conversations with the developer about pedestrian connections to the southern part of the site. But again, it would not be a variance. So in conclusion, the Development Authority is considering 5 different variances. We would like to continue to work with the applicant to increase the level of transparency on the side facing First Street. But other than that, the Development Authority does not have major concerns about the variances themselves. Are there any questions from members of council?
On that south-facing side, it does show some landscaping.
Yes, you are right. Yeah.
Yeah, the trees are not there.
Yeah. Yeah, there will be, yeah, exactly. There'll be landscaping here, there'll be loading, and there'll be more landscaping and, of course, the drive-through. So it's not, you're exactly right. It's not like it's right up against people's houses.
So their thought on the sign, is that because they're trying to compete against like the co-op sign, which is quite tall, just to the east of that?
Yeah, that might be the case. We haven't had a lot of formal discussion about that one because that's going to be a separate application. But I did want to point that out because it's part of the design package that we received. The developer did prepare something if you want. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
So my name is Thomas Aitchison. I'm working on behalf of the architect, working with the developer here. Miles Ramsey from Dream. I don't think there's a lot for me to touch on that Sarah didn't articulate much better even than I would. So again, I just at a high level, again, she's already done a great job of it. So just so you can see really what the feel of it is in terms of the site. Like I said, you know, we did start with the guiding principles. This is obviously a fairly small scale building. It is a drive-through building, but we have sort of spent time to, let's say, articulate it where we could. See at the front entrance there, that's actually facing internal to the site. We built the patio area, we brought the canopy out, we brought a tower up and high above it to sort of, as you can see, sort of emphasize that pedestrian experience that will be facing internal to the site, which is again contextual to the site. And then you can see this is the view from First Street here, so you can see you're looking into the drive-through on those faux windows. So yeah, again, this is really just a matter of, you know, there's a certain articulation to the building where we brought up, you know, this big tower, we have sort of the wood grain panels on it, and then we have to have these two doors for their access. So we, you know, in our mind, we're putting everything in there to make it as visually interesting as something we can based on a building that is fairly small against that road. And then as Sarah mentioned as well, you know, we've articulated landscaping throughout that side, so you do get a nice sort of entrance to the site as much as we can, again, on a sort of a drive-through scenario. If you wouldn't mind moving to the next slide. And then again, this is just sort of the emphasis of that. So just on the right-hand side, you can see this is sort of an enlarged plan showing a bit of the landscaping, the building from the top down. So again, we're dealing with like a main east-west connection to bring people through the site. And then again, as Sarah mentioned, we'll have further conversations about articulating it all the way over to the CRU just to the west of it. And then again, we're bringing people down north-south, let's say from the Wendy's side of the site to the main entrance there. If you wouldn't mind going to the last couple here. And again, as Sarah mentioned, I won't get too far into it because I think you already talked about it. Really, this building is contextual to the site that exists. So do you choose to reverse that language? Because I'm an urban planning background as well. I would always love to have a nice street frontage and that's sort of the vibrant experience. But we're obviously in sort of more of a vehicle-oriented development as it's being built out prior to the changes in the bylaw. So we're being contextual both to the building height and the building setbacks and what we can actually fit in terms of drive-through on the site. Meant that we have to sort of pull this building back and loop it around that edge, where we wouldn't always make that decision. It's just how you line up the drive aisles north and west of it. And if you wouldn't mind going to, actually that should, no, sorry, this one's fine, we can stick with that. And yeah, again, this is just a view from First Street. You can see this is just passing the residential area. So in terms of that blank wall treatment, again, Sarah was great in emphasizing this for us. So we said, okay, let's go back and what can we play with in terms of making it nice visually from there. Like there's only so much we could do in terms of like this sort of price point and getting a bunch of murals on it or adding more towers to it that we could allow for. So we just went over and above basically what we were going to do in terms of the landscaping experience in there. So we sort of, you know, let's say, you know, covered most of it as we could, as you would experience that from First Street. So that is it in a nutshell. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Questions, council? I think you guys have done a really good job of working with an existing piece, and yeah, to try to get a drive-through that fit on that piece of property the way it's designed. This is about it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I like the trees around all of the waste area,
Yeah.
like the bins. Like, so they're already sort of hidden from the traffic.
Yeah. I'm with Sarah on the sign. I don't like
It's a little tall.
Well, yeah, I don't like the bigger signs. Yeah, Co-op has one there, but there's not much along 12th like that. When we get into design with signs up all over the place, you guys are Starbucks. People find you, right? It's a quick Google, and whenever we're in a town and we need a Starbucks, it's a quick Google, and you hit a button and it takes you there, right?
True.
We don't, we Google long before we ever see a sign or look for a sign, so.
Yeah, it'll save us a bunch of money anyways.
Yeah. You're welcome.
We have to ask for Starbucks.
Gotcha.
The one question I do have is on that, I think I saw on one of kind of the visual renderings where there was, what are we doing for the division between the residential and the commercial property? Or what are we putting, like a fence there? Is that, how is that getting treated?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So I know that there's a separate application for that site, but the expected treatment there is a fence with an opening in the middle, because the site to the south is planned to sort of have a green space in the middle, if you will. And so what we're planning is to have a direct pedestrian connection to that area, so residents either in that site or to the neighborhood to the south could walk directly through that green space and into the plaza.
Okay.
Sorry, why do you need a fence at all?
I believe it's a requirement for screening for residential. That's my understanding.
Sarah?
I don't know if it's necessarily a requirement. Like, we talk in our land use bylaw about you can have a fence and it can be up to a certain height and it can be made of a variety of different materials. But in this case, it might be better, well, like, maybe we should discuss, could we have something that has more transparency or more openings? Because we do find throughout the town, when there's a big fence, people just try, like, especially kids, they just try to hop over it, this, that, the other thing. We do want people to feel like they can just, walk from their house to get a coffee, right? So maybe we can have that conversation.
Yeah, and if it's a screening issue, use landscaping instead of barrier fence build out. Right?
Yeah, I think what we were talking about screening, and this is actually a good point, is we're talking about those rooftop ventilation systems. So those are what we really wanted screened from view. It wasn't really like, we weren't really looking for like a fence. It was like, if you have those rooftop items, we didn't want everyone to see those roof things. But it wasn't like we needed a fence.
Something to discuss.
Exactly,
Right on.
yeah,
Maybe just save them more money.
Just saved you more money.
exactly.
That's what we're here for. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank
Go ahead,
you.
Sarah. Thank you. Question and answer. Chris and Riley are not here, but Sonia is to answer every single question.
Or write them down so I can.
Q&A, council to admin, if there's anything. Nothing?
At this moment?
All good. Meeting adjourned, 1:36.
Thank you.
Come up with a list.